Every morning felt like a battle. Shoes, backpack, reminders. Until I learned why Japanese kids can get ready without being told. And I tried it at home. That's when everything changed. Let's start with the morning battles we rarely talk about. I wasn't looking for a new method. I was just a tired mom wondering why the simplest parts of the morning felt like such an uphill climb. One night, while scrolling for answers, I found a video of Japanese children starting their school day. No one rushed them. No one repeated instructions. They moved through their routines with a calm predictability that felt almost effortless. And I noticed something. Those kids weren't behaving out of obedience. They were behaving out of memory. Their bodies already knew what came next. That made me wonder, what would this look like for my own toddler? Because here's what I was terrified of. If I kept repeating myself every morning, my son would grow up believing he couldn't do anything independently, that someone else always had to remember for him. That question and that fear became the beginning of our transformation. In this video, I'll share the 4 gentle pillars behind this Japanese approach, how 4 quiet weeks changed more than just our mornings, and why this works even for toddlers as young as 2. You know those mornings when the sun is barely up, and somehow the whole house already feels tense? That was us. My son would wander from room to room, half dressed, half awake, stopping to look at a toy he forgot about last night, while I'd trail behind him like a tired narrator. Shoes! Backpack! Let's focus, sweetheart, we're running late. What made it harder wasn't the chaos itself. It was that quiet, sinking feeling. I was starting our day frustrated, and he was starting his overwhelmed. But here's the part we rarely talk about as parents. It's not about the shoes or the backpack. It's that moment. And if you're a parent, you've had this moment. When you hear yourself say the exact same reminder for the 4th time, and you wonder, why isn't this landing? And here's what I didn't realize then. But the neuroscience behind this changed everything. Every time I repeated myself, my son's brain was learning something without either of us knowing. I don't have to remember. Mom will do that part. Not because he was lazy, but because my urgency was doing the remembering for him. And because we're human, we do the only thing that seems to work. We take over. We become their memory. Tying shoes, zipping backpacks, carrying the whole morning forward. And in doing so, we fall apart a little ourselves. When I discovered what Japanese parents do differently, and I'll show you their exact method in part 3, it reversed this entire cycle. Most of us think reminders are helping, but neuroscience tells a different story. When children rely on external prompts over and over, their self-regulation system doesn't get a chance to practice. They lean on our stress, not their own internal compass. And by week 2, my son did something that brought me to tears. I'll show you what that was in part 4. But first, you need to understand how Japanese parents approach this completely differently. And that's the hidden problem behind so many morning battles. Not disobedience, but a lack of practiced independence. I didn't understand that yet. I just knew something needed to change. Not just for him, but for me. And as I dug deeper, I realized it had nothing to do with perfection, and everything to do with what their parents quietly build into everyday life. That's what part 2 is all about. When I first started looking into why Japanese kids seem so calm and capable during their morning routines, I thought I would find something strict or rigid or impossibly hard to recreate at home. But what I found instead was something surprisingly gentle. In Japan, there's a concept called Shitsuke. It translates loosely to teaching the body, but parents there describe it more like the art of guiding a child toward doing things because they're ready, not because they're being pushed. And when I understood how these 4 pillars of Shitsuke work together, the invisible structure underneath the routine, it completely shifted how I approached our mornings. Not overnight, but by the end of our first month, something happened that I never thought I'd see. I'll walk you through that transformation week by week in part 4. But first, let me show you what I saw that made me believe this was even possible. And honestly, the more I learned, the more it felt less like a parenting method and more like a quiet rhythm woven into daily life. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a classroom of 6-year-olds. The bell rings. No one yells, "Clean up." No one claps their hands in a countdown. No stickers, no rewards. The children simply get up, stack their chairs, wipe down their desks, and begin their designated duties for the day. Sweeping floors, organizing shoes, passing out lunch trays. Not rushed, not pressured, just routine, as natural as breathing. And when I watched recordings of these moments, I noticed something that made my eyes sting a little. The adults weren't managing every step. They were simply present, calm, steady, quietly watching. Of course, my child wasn't 6. He was only 2, still tiny, still learning the world. So I wasn't expecting him to sweep floors or manage routines like those older kids. But watching them made me wonder, what would a toddler-sized version of this look like? And that question changed everything. It wasn't about obedience. It was about internal regulation. And here's the part that clicked for me as a mom. Those kids weren't behaving because someone told them to. Their bodies already knew what came next. That's Shitsuke. It's not about control. It's about giving the child's brain enough repetition, structure, and trust for the next step to feel obvious, instead of overwhelming. And the neuroscience behind it is surprisingly simple. When kids repeat the same sequence of actions, packing a bag, folding a cloth, placing shoes in a row, their basal ganglia begins to build automatic pathways. These pathways act like the brain's morning playlist. Step 1 leads naturally to step 2. Step 2 flows into step 3. The more predictable the routine, the lighter the mental load. Their body remembers, so you don't have to remind. This is why Japanese routines feel effortless from the outside. They aren't relying on external motivation. They're relying on practiced memory. And here's what that means for us. Our kids aren't forgetting on purpose. They're not resisting. They're simply trying to use a skill that hasn't been consistently wired yet. Once I understood that, I stopped asking, "Why won't he listen?" and started asking, "How can I help his body remember for itself?" That tiny reframing shifted everything. And the moment I began looking at Shitsuke more closely, I realized it wasn't one single idea, but 4 gentle pillars that work together to build real self-regulation. 4 pillars that, when combined, create something Western parenting rarely teaches: the ability for a child's body to lead before their mind even has to think. Now here's what surprised me about these 4 pillars. Pillar 1 was the hardest for me to accept, because it required me to do less, not more. Pillar 2 is the one most parents skip entirely, and without it, the routine becomes just another power struggle. Pillar 3 takes only 30 seconds, but it's the difference between dependence and true independence. And Pillar 4? It's the invisible thread that holds everything together. Most Western parents don't even know it exists. Let me walk you through them, starting with the pillar that almost made me give up. When I first started learning about Shitsuke, I thought it was one idea, one method, one secret. But the deeper I went, the more I realized it was really a quiet structure, built from 4 gentle pillars that work together. Not a system of rules, not a checklist, but a way of being with children that teaches their bodies what to do before their brains are even old enough to explain it. And what surprised me most was realizing that each of these pillars could be adapted even for a tiny 2 or 3-year-old like my son. Let me walk you through them. Pillar 1. Routines that free the brain. In Japan, routines aren't used to control children. They're used to support them. And toddlers need this more than anyone. I used to think my son didn't follow our morning routine because he didn't want to. But the truth was simpler. His brain couldn't hold all the steps yet. So instead of repeating instructions, I made a tiny visual chart. Toothbrush, pants, breakfast, shoes, the door. Just pictures, nothing to decode. The first morning he saw it, he didn't follow all the steps, but he paused, he pointed, he whispered, "Next." That was enough. Because the moment he looked to the chart instead of waiting for me, his brain had already begun the work of remembering. Mini lesson. Kids don't resist routines. They resist unpredictability. Pillar 2. Tiny responsibilities that build competence. Japanese children aren't given chores to earn rewards. They're trusted to contribute. So I created toddler-sized versions, placing 1 napkin on each chair, putting socks in the laundry basket, carrying his own water bottle, choosing pajamas. Simple, but meaningful. And the first time he placed the napkins, crooked but proud, he looked at me not for praise, but acknowledgement. So I said, "You remembered your job," and that was enough. Because toddlers don't crave perfection, they crave purpose. Mini lesson. When children feel needed, they rise into responsibility. Pillar 3. Calm modeling, the regulation they borrow. Japanese parents rarely hurry their children. Instead, they model the calm they want their child to mirror. One morning, when my son took off the shoes he just put on, I felt my frustration spike. But instead of reacting, I crouched down, took a slow breath, and quietly started putting on my own shoes. No words. He watched me, then slowly put his shoes back on, matching my pace. Toddlers don't learn regulation from instructions. They learn it from nervous systems. Mini lesson. What we model becomes their template for coping. Pillar 4. Watchful waiting, the space that builds independence. In Japan, there's a practice called mimamoru, to watch over from a distance. Not fixing, not rescuing, just staying close enough for safety and far enough for growth. So one morning, when he struggled to zip his jacket, I almost stepped in. But instead, I softened my body and said, "I'm right here if you need me." He tugged, adjusted, and finally, click. He looked up with a quiet, steady pride, the kind that comes from doing something hard by himself. Mini lesson. Independence grows in the space between struggle and rescue. And once I started using these 4 pillars, not perfectly, not even consistently at first, but gently, with small steps, I began to see tiny shifts in the way my son moved through our mornings. Micro moments of ownership, little sparks of confidence, a calm I didn't have to remind him into. But here's what I need you to understand before part 4. These pillars didn't just change our mornings. They revealed that my son was always capable. I was just in the way. In part 4, I'll walk you through our 4 weeks. Week 1, the chaos that almost made me quit. Week 2, the micro shift that changed everything. Week 3, the moment that made me cry. Week 4, the transformation. But I need to warn you, week 1 does not look like success. And that's exactly why I'm going to show it to you. Let me take you there. Before I walk you through our 4 weeks, I want to say this gently and clearly. For a toddler, 4 weeks is not a long time. It's actually fast because every skill they learn is built in tiny, invisible layers. Once I understood that, I stopped expecting dramatic overnight change and started looking for the quiet progress that was already happening underneath the surface. And that's exactly what unfolded in our home. Not just for one routine, but for many. Here's how our month looked. Week 1, awareness begins. The first few days did not look like success, not even close. I taped our little routine board on the wall. Pictures for toothbrush, clothes, breakfast, shoes, door. My son was curious but confused. One moment he stared at it, the next he walked away like it didn't exist. But what I didn't realize at the time was, week 1 isn't about following the steps. It's about noticing that steps exist. And noticing is the first spark of habit formation. Each morning, he'd tug my shirt and ask, "Mom, next?" Instead of listing the steps like I always did, I knelt beside him and said, "Check your board." He didn't always follow it, but he looked. He pointed. He noticed. And that tiny shift, from relying on my words to looking at the visual cue, was the beginning of everything. What surprised me was that once he started noticing the morning routine, he began noticing patterns in other parts of the day too. At dinner, he stood near the table, glanced at the chairs, and instinctively placed one napkin down, just like he'd seen me do every night. It wasn't a new habit. It was the same awareness showing up somewhere else. Week 1 lesson. Awareness is progress, even if the routine still looks messy. Week 2. The micro shifts. Week 2 brought the kind of progress that's easy to miss if you're not looking closely. One morning, he walked to the board without my reminder. He didn't follow all the steps, but he identified the first one. And that matters, because toddlers learn routines the same way they learn songs, one line at a time. Whenever he got stuck, instead of calling him back, I used the ownership question. "What do you need next?" He didn't answer with words at first. He answered with movement. He'd drift toward the shoes, or toward the bathroom, or toward the door. Movement is language for toddlers. And that movement meant the pattern was forming. And just like in week 1, the routine began spilling into other parts of the day. At bedtime, he wandered into his room, holding his pajamas, saying, "Night-night clothes." Not perfectly, not fast, but independently. Week 2 lesson. Micro shifts are not small. They are the foundation of internal discipline. Week 3. Independence appears. By week 3, there was a softness to our mornings that hadn't been there before. One morning, I found him in the hallway sliding into his shoes, slowly, clumsily, but without me. Another day, he picked up his backpack and brought it to the door himself. Not because I asked, but because it was what comes next. And the most beautiful shift was this. He began self-correcting. He put his shirt on backwards, looked down, and turned it around. No frustration, no meltdown, just trying again because trying again had become normal. And again, these habits spread naturally into other parts of the day. At dinner time, he didn't wait for me to remind him. He got the napkins himself, one in each tiny hand, and placed them on the chairs, crooked but proud. At bedtime, he put his pajamas on the pillow before climbing onto the bed, like a little ritual he invented. It wasn't about the tasks, it was about the rhythm. Repetition becoming memory, memory becoming confidence. Week 3 lesson. Independence is not doing things perfectly. It's believing, I can try again. Week 4. The moment everything clicked. It didn't happen with fanfare. No dramatic breakthrough. No, look at me moment. It was simple. I was in the kitchen pouring coffee when I heard tiny footsteps behind me. I turned around and saw him standing there. Shoes on, jacket zipped, water bottle in hand, backpack on his shoulders. Routine complete. Every step, without a single reminder. He looked up and said, "Mom, I did all steps today." Not loud, not performing, just proud. And that pride spilled into the rest of the day. He set the napkins for dinner. He took his pajamas to bed without prompting. He placed his shoes neatly by the door after coming home. That's when I realized. We hadn't built one habit. We'd built a mindset. A gentle inner structure rooted in repetition, rhythm, and trust. And it only took 4 weeks, because 4 weeks is exactly how long a toddler's brain needs for something new to start feeling familiar. Week 4 lesson. A month is not long for a child. It's just long enough for a new identity to begin forming. And looking back, those 4 weeks didn't just reshape our mornings. They reshaped the way my son understood himself. Capable, steady, growing, and the way I understood motherhood. In part 5, I want to show you how these tiny shifts did more than create routines. They changed the way he handles frustration, transitions, and even his own emotions. Let's talk about the bigger picture. When I look back at those 4 quiet weeks, what stays with me isn't just the routine, or the tiny habits, or even the little victories, like shoes on the right feet, or napkins placed proudly on the table. What stays with me is the shift I saw inside my child, and inside myself. Because this journey was never really about mornings. It was about building the kind of foundation that will carry him long after he's outgrown picture boards and crooked jacket zippers and tiny toddler shoes. It was about raising a child who doesn't depend on my reminders to function, but depends on his own inner rhythm, his own sense of, I can do this, his own gentle confidence that grows a little more each day. And honestly, I didn't expect the biggest changes to show up the way they did. I noticed it the first time he spilled water and didn't panic. He just looked at me, took a deep breath I didn't even realize he had learned from me, and whispered, I clean. Or the night he became frustrated with a puzzle piece, paused, and instead of throwing it, he muttered, I try again. Almost the exact words I'd said to him so many times. That's when I realized we weren't just building routines, we were wiring resilience. He wasn't just completing steps, he was learning how to stay calm inside a challenge. He wasn't just remembering a sequence, he was remembering who he could become when he didn't give up. And all of this grew from the simplest ingredients: repetition, predictability, gentle guidance, and a parent who slows down enough to let the child step forward. This is the heart of Shitsuke. Not discipline as control, but discipline as self-trust. Self-regulated kids aren't born, they're grown. Gently, slowly, through the everyday moments that don't seem like much at all. We build them while tying tiny shoes, and waiting patiently through clumsy zippers, and inviting them to try again when everything in us wants to hurry the moment along. This is the quiet, steady work that shapes who they become. Now, if you found this helpful, if you're sitting here thinking, I want to try this with my child, let me tell you what's coming next, and how you can stay connected to this journey. Because here's the thing, what you just learned, the 4 pillars of Shitsuke, the week-by-week breakdown, the science behind why this works. This is just the beginning. Next week, I'm releasing a follow-up video showing you the exact visual routine charts I used, free printable templates, how to adapt this for different ages, from 18 months to 5 years, what to do when your child resists the routine, troubleshooting guide, and I don't want you to miss it. So here's what I need you to do right now. First, if this video helped you, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with more parents who need it. Second, subscribe to this channel because I'm creating a whole series on raising self-regulated kids, the strategies that actually work, backed by both neuroscience and real experience. And third, drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 4 pillars will you try first? I read every single comment, and I'll respond with tips specific to your situation. Here's why this matters. Over 50,000 parents are already using these strategies to transform their mornings from chaos to calm. And the parents who start early, who build these foundations when their kids are toddlers, they're the ones who tell me, I wish I'd found this sooner. Don't let that be you. Hit subscribe right now. The button is right below this video. It takes 2 seconds. And if you're somewhere in week 1 right now, or week 2, or somewhere in between, I hope you know this. You're already doing enough. Your presence is enough. Your gentleness is enough. Your consistency, not perfection, is what builds the child you're hoping to raise. Start small. Start with 1 moment of the day, 1 tiny routine, 1 little invitation. Your child will meet you there. And I'll see you in the next video, with those printable routine charts and everything you need to make this even easier. Until then, take care of yourself. You're doing beautiful work.